Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Blue Hour Podcast, where we explore the worlds and the minds of visionary artists and creators. You're not going to want to miss this episode. It's a very fascinating one where we go through the realm of the creation of this brand called Alcami Elements by its founder, Derik. There's a very synchronistic story that happened during the filming of this episode, and also the fact that we're both born on the same date. There was a lot of weird connections that happened, but more than that, we delve into the ideas of why health is so important and his own personal journey through this realm of connecting to the body and to his own health. And he describes his connection with the Reishi Mushroom, which we see as a superfood for longevity and all these things, but more than that, it's seen as also a very spiritual mushroom. And Derik is one of the best ones to describe this, because this is what has started his journey into his connection. So you won't want to miss that. And other news, we have a retreat coming up at the end of the month, so March 30th to 31st in Courtenay, BC. So you can look, there's one more spot left on the website if you go to roseumbra.com. And also we have this new merch, so hoodies in two colors with the logo and the logo here and the brand name here. It is the comfiest sweater, I'm always wearing it. It's one of the ways I'm financing this podcast, because we don't make money from it. So if you want to support the brand and the cause and the podcast, well, it's online now on the shop tab on my website. So thanks for watching and enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Hour Podcast, where we explore the mind and the world of visionary artists and creators. Today we have Derik, who is the founder of Alcami Elements, and very inspiring. I've been following his journey for a while on social media, and it feels like it's a very embodied brand. Like, you see that he has a very deep connection with what he's selling, and for me, this is something that entrepreneurs sometimes and often lack, unfortunately, is a connection with what they sell and the meaning behind it being even more important than the product itself. But in this case, the product is also super useful for health. So maybe we can start, if you want to describe your journey and how you came to have the desire to create this product in the first place. Like, what is your background and your motivations? And so.
Totally. Thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Hey, welcome.
It's been quite a journey. I always tell people there's a very long version, there's a short version. And I guess we'll try to do a hybrid of both, because it is very interesting how it all started for me. And it really started with realizing, first of all, I had a bit of an awakening, I guess you can say, from a very early age. Around the age of 17, I started to question life as it was. I knew that things were out of place, whether it had to do with my own self or just what I was observing around me. And so I knew that I was just having deeper questions, and these questions led to answers, which led to deeper questions, and it just was a bit of a rabbit hole. And so through that, I knew that something had to change. I knew that I was a bit unhappy. I was a young teenager, typical teen. You know, I lived a very extreme life.
In what way?
In the sense of just, you know, that live fast, die young lifestyle.
Okay, like just reckless a little bit.
Reckless, very reckless, actually. And I was actually doing skateboarding at the time. I was pretty convinced that was going to be my life path, and I was going all in that, and I was very passionate about it. And once I started asking deeper questions, it almost seems like my life took a turn in the overall path, and I lost a bit of interest in just pursuing skateboarding as like, oh, I'm gonna be an athlete, or I'm gonna do this, and I felt like I had to explore other things. And so through that, I started, people call it conspiracy theories. I started learning about different things about the world, and I started doing my own research, and it was just really opening my mind about how much I really didn't know, and just so much out there to know and to learn about. And so it really started with that. It was kind of like learning about things that were going on in the world that you're told to ignore or just kind of turn the other cheek. And also just wanting to feel better in my body and in my state of mind, because I wasn't happy with where I was at. And I knew that there was something that had to shift. So I really wanted that to change. And my parents put me in martial arts from a very young age.
Okay.
So I had a bit of that embedded inside me somewhere. And I did it for a very long time. I did the karate and I got my black belt, and I remember the sensei would always make us meditate before and after class, and that was like a regular ritual we'd always do in the dojo. And so somewhere from very early on, it's kind of like planted seeds inside me that eventually sprouted later on. And through my little quest of like wanting to make some changes happen in my life, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should explore martial arts again.
Okay. But at what age did that come? Like this feeling that you need to re-explore, to improve, or to change something?
That was right at 17 years old.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what, maybe I know this martial arts store. I'm going to go to this store and buy my favorite weapon and get into like, just functional dynamic movement, and maybe that connection will help me reestablish something. So I would drive to the martial arts store that day, and with the intention of buying my favorite weapon, which is like the bow staff. But I end up finding this book on the shelf. It's kind of like glowing, it's bright pink, and I'm like, there's something about this book. I need to know what this book's about. And it was like this small martial arts store in the middle of Laval, and it was in the middle of a shopping mall. And there's just this big $50 book, which was way out of my budget, could barely afford it, but I knew I needed to have it. And it was a book on, it was 5 books in one. And it was something along the lines of Qigong, empowerment, the Taoist, Buddhist, Wushu, energy cultivation, medical Qigong book. Okay. That's what was in the front page. And I started opening the book, and I'm just like, I feel like I just need to bring this home. So I brought that with me, and I got obsessed. I have a very obsessive mindset. So I was obsessed with skateboarding, and then I got obsessed with my path, and I got obsessed with this. So I was just going all in, and I started teaching myself the Qigong practices that it would show you how to do. So I would go in the backyard, and I'd be doing lung purification, breathing exercises with the Qigong book. And I started to meditate a lot. And at 17, there's a lot of information I was exposing myself to. So I started realizing I was under the impression that, fluoride is bad for you. So I got to decalcify my pineal gland. And I was like, I got to drink clean water, and I got to do everything possible not to poison myself. And so it was really like this combination of so many tools and knowledge that I was implementing from such a young age. And through that led me to realizing that I really had to take care of my diet. I really had to change the foods I've been putting in my body for many years. I grew up on a standard American diet. We had some healthy foods growing up, some non-healthy foods. Majority of my life has just been really processed foods for all the way until I was 17 years old. And during the skateboarding years, which I really went really intense on, I spent hours and hours each and every day for years grinding my body, eating nutritionally deficient foods for so long that I think it affected my mental health really bad. And I think that's what kind of propelled the shift a bit.
It's so interesting because like I feel like we have like a very similar path in this regards. I was just like needing to improve. Like for me it was like every aspect of my life, but it started with my health. That was the first thing I did when I was a teenager. Same things as you, just sort of watching and documenting on water and all those different foods. And then like you, now when I look back at my childhood, it feels like it's a big brain fog, like not too sure, like. And then now I feel my life is so clear now that I've changed everything. But before it was just like this smog of, I don't know, of memories that can intertwine together. But like it's interesting. We realize we're born on the same date. Right. I know in astrology there is some how can I say, some mythologies of depending on your numerology of your date of birth that is the same. So it's interesting how perhaps that's why I was so excited to have you on this podcast too. Right. I feel like I can relate with so much of what you're doing now. So yeah, continue with that adventure. So
this adventure led me to combining all these wonderful tools that I was so like, it was such new information. So I was so excited at the same time. I was so stimulated by all this new stuff that we were never obviously taught in school. Mm-hmm. And it was just so new, so different from the town I grew up in, and just I couldn't relate with too many people either. So, and I've always been a bit of an independent person. Mm-hmm. And so I did occupy myself quite a bit with this, and it just took a lot of my time, and I just loved going deep diving into this. And so with the realization that I needed to change my diet, I started taking all my paychecks and just splurging at the organic health food stores. Yeah. And just getting super passionate about like, oh, what's a superfood and maca and all these like high nutrient dense foods. I just started like throwing them, whipping up meals at home, and taking really full control of my health, my spending, like obviously to a certain age, your parents are kind of like buying all the food. But at 17, I was like, I'm going to be control my food. I'm drinking my own water. I'm drinking my own healthy foods. I'm doing this my way. And through this path, and because I had a very obsessive tendency, I started just learning all these different health food lifestyle philosophies, whether it was like the power of raw food or the power of plant-based nutrition or fermented foods and all these things. And I was like, I really wanted to know what was going to be like the optimal and ultimate path to health. And of course, a lot of this was motivated by my spiritual aspirations to get closer to a certain kind of state. And so I realized that in order to get there, I was under the impression that you had to kind of like purify the body in order to get into contact with like a higher state of being.
And it's funny because like also your rising is Virgo. It's part of your identity to be connected with your body and to identify with your body. And then if we look at the Virgo house, that's where you have your Mars and your Venus combining, which puts a lot of emphasis on finding like balance, because Mars and Venus are opposites, and finding this balance within your body. So it's very interesting how this manifested this way in your like your aspirations for this optimal health, but not for health's sake, but for spirituality, which is your sun sign in Pisces. This kind of like I do believe in that too. Like you first have to take care of the base, the like work out the food, and then you can start dealing with the emotions. You can do the opposite too, but sometimes when you're stuck, go to the first, and then once this is in check, the others will come naturally. Once the emotions is in check, then the spiritual will start talking to you through your emotions, and it's kind of all interlocked together. So I truly get what you want. The intuitive process you were intuitively guided in. Yeah.
It truly felt that way at that time, and it got even more intense with the guidance and the intuition, because what happened next was kind of like the next stepping stone, or the next like clue that was bringing me closer to the path that I'm walking on. And so through like the discovery, all of these health foods and different diet trends and lifestyle philosophies, I was also reading that Qigong book. And so through that, I started learning a bit about medical Qigong and traditional Chinese medicine. And I was like dipping my toes in there. I'm like, oh, there's something there. And then I started going to like the health food store and buying like teas, and I started really getting into like making my own infusions at home. And that's where I started learning about like astragalus and reishi mushroom and shiitake and these mushrooms. So one day I'm doing Qigong in the backyard, and at this point I'm like, I got a ritual going on. I'm meditating every day, twice a day. I'm walking barefoot everywhere. Doesn't matter whether it's like outside or in the grocery store. I was really committed to whatever this was, whatever I was being guided to do. And a voice came through and told me to walk deeper into the yard where I was staying at, and there's something behind the tree that's there. And it was a very subtle voice. It was very gentle. It was just kind of like a little gust of wind that just pushed me to just suddenly start walking to only discover reishi mushroom patches growing in my parents' yard where I was staying at. And my whole body just felt electric shocks. And I was just like, I know what this is. I'm intimidated because I never played with this stuff before. And I was very like pure with like my raw food, and I was just doing different things. And I was like, this is so outside my like realm of expertise that I've never like harvested something from nature before and like decided to start boiling it into a tea and drink it. Am I gonna be safe? You know, so especially mushrooms. But I'm like, I know this mushroom. I heard about it. This is the mushroom of immortality growing in the yard. So I remember just running downstairs, going on Google Images, like looking at so many different variations of reishi. I'm like, this has to be it. I harvested the reishi and I started sun drying it, and then I just started drinking like a liter of reishi tea every day for 3 months straight, and it completely and radically transformed my life in so many ways.
So what, I'm just curious, because I have also integrated these mushrooms in my diet. I have consumed your product for a long time also. What is, like, often you only take an extract and like it's more subtle, but taking it every day, like what happened? Like what's the direct effects that it had on you for reishi specifically?
You know, when you start learning about these mushrooms, especially something like reishi mushroom, there seems to be two realms of knowledge, right? We have the Eastern perspective of knowledge, the Ayurvedic or the Chinese philosophy, and their approach and understanding to the way these things work. And then we've got the more Western approach in today's world, where it's very scientific, it's very science-based. It's like
rational also, because
a little more rational, like, oh, mushrooms, polysaccharide sugars, immune system.
Yeah, it's more facts and like details.
So when it comes to reishi mushroom, from the knowledge that I was accumulating at that time, it was renowned as like a Shen tonic. And Shen in Chinese translates as spirit. It's like a spiritual tonic.
Okay.
Especially when it's wild. A wild reishi mushroom versus what you'll buy in like a store or something that's cultivated will still be a powerful reishi mushroom, but it won't have as much Shen.
Like almost the spirit of it?
The spirit, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
makes sense.
The more direct feeling, even if you went and got an organic, cultivated reishi mushroom grown in a controlled environment, the immediate effect of breaking a whole mushroom down into pieces and then boiling it decocting it into a tea for 45 minutes and then drinking that. It's like, sometimes I say it's like drinking, it's like the Tao in your cup. It brings you right to the present moment. The immediate effects are like instant calm, instant quiet, stillness. It brings you right into the Tao, and you're in the present, and you just feel so at peace. It's like this state that you go into after coming out of a meditation, but it's like in the form of like a cup, and you feel it right away. And so that was the immediate effects I started experiencing. There are long-term effects that came about after, but I started feeling, because I was coming from also a very, I guess I was in a healing myself from the live fast, die young lifestyle and the many years of nutritional deficiencies and like just being an anxious young teenager. And you drink something like this and you're just like, all of that just melts away and time just disappears.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I do. There is something, even I read a book about like bonsais and the traditions of like cultivating a bonsai traditionally. Like you have to go like a year in advance. Once you find it, you leave something. I don't remember exactly the details. You leave something, and then you come back like a few months later. If that thing is turned over or something, it means the relationship can be possible. You have to come back, and then there's like all those steps where you connect spiritually with the thing before you can take it. And there's all these maybe a bit far-fetched, like for our Western minds, but like to use the spirit of the bonsai for like protection and for stuff once it's in your team. But the same thing applies now. Like we have been disconnected in our towers from Earth, but in reality, like these are the things that you can find out for yourself intuitively. And I think that seems to be part of your path, right? To like, first was like zoning out with the meditation in your solo time to connect with yourself. And once you connect with yourself, now you have a direct connection with your intuition, which can now guide you towards nature, which is everything. But we're connecting with like this inert kind of nature, this wood. It's not connected to the earth anymore. But then your intuition is telling you directly, and then it's very interesting, I'm curious to see like how this continue, like what's the next chapter of the book?
The next chapter of the book, I mean, I think going parallel to like my spiritual tools that I was picking up and the Qigong and the meditation, once Reishi came into the picture and just kind of like allowed myself to just kind of melt into the moment fully or more quickly, you can say, then it really allowed all these other things I was doing to work even better.
Okay.
So it would just like melt time away. I felt like I was sleeping for the first time in years. Like I was recovering all this like rest from all the restlessness that I've gotten as a younger teenager, staying up super late at night, just being so stimulated by technology or just going out with your friends all the time. And it's just like, I would be drinking reishi mushroom tea in big quantities, and I would go to bed, like, say, for example, 10 o'clock at night. I'd literally wake up 2 hours later feeling like I had 13 hours of sleep. I would be so disoriented, having to go to use the washroom, but I was just like, whoa. I'm like, what is going on? And you'd wake up in the morning like feeling like a little groggy, like you're just...
With the reishi?
With the reishi, like your adrenals and kidneys are being plugged into the battery recharge, because that's what it does, right? Reishi is known as a 3-treasure tonic. The first treasure is your Jing, is that primal power, that life force that's consolidated and condensed that you inherit at birth from your parents into the kidney energy system.
Okay.
And then you got the adrenals that sit right on top of there, and that like is your constitutional power in Chinese medicine. And then you've got the qi, which is the second treasure, which is the immediate energy you can generate from the food that you eat, the air that you breathe, and the water that you drink. And then you've got the third treasure, which is Shen, which is really like the ultimate treasure, is like the higher consciousness, the spirit that resides in the heart that can flourish and come out when the body's not in this like fight or flight system.
Interesting.
And so Reishi comes in and nourishes all of those treasures. And if it's wild Reishi, then it's going to have more of a Shen effect, a more spirit effect. But it was just, I guess, allowing me to not only deepen my practices, but also restore this deep lost energy that I've spent so much of. And I started having incredible dreams. I was having really like dreams I still remember until this day that like just, there are certain dreams that you have throughout your life that just mark you and you'll never forget. I had like incredible dreams of walking through enchanted forests with giant mushrooms, and there was like this white spirit animal that was in the shape of like a white wolf that would visit me, and I'd wake up the next day and a voice would tell me, oh, you need to go get spring water today, and then you're going to go into the forest and you're going to find reishi and chaga mushroom. And exactly that morning I would go and I'd come back with like 40 pounds of mushrooms.
So you kind of open up this realm, this natural dream realm within yourself that probably prevails everything all the time, but you can't tap in until like you're certain, whatever, I don't remember the term you use, but is activated and open to the right degree. Yeah. And then you just, with this discipline, you kind of had this opened up for you.
Totally opened up for me. And it was a very, and it is still, because, you know, I carry this with me even today, even though my lifestyle is a bit different than it was at the time, because at the time I just had a lot of time to explore that and just to be with that, and then just to spend a lot of time in nature and connect with the natural elements, and then just to really understand what these kinds of substances have to offer, which is not only in the form of like a really wonderful medicine, but it's that reconnection to nature. And that's where things could become even more medicinal. And so spending all that time in nature really allowed me to foster this beautiful connection and to really open my mind to what it means to be a healthy, happy, thriving human being. And I just wanted to do everything possible to just keep nourishing that, to share that with people, and to just deepen the journey. And that journey kept going deeper into everything from foraging my own water to learning about harvesting chaga and reishi mushroom, and learning about the other substances in the forest and taking them home and building a relationship with them, decocting them, preparing them in different ways, and then really seeing what they can offer to the body.
Yeah, like direct experience, right? You would just put it in practice and see for yourself what happens.
Yeah.
And I guess in this product, there is this things that you cultivate yourself, or how does I'm guessing maybe at the mass that you're selling, you can't do it yourself anymore.
At this point, it's not like that anymore. Sometimes I will like do private reserve batches of like very special creations, because as much as like the quality of the ingredients are still super, actually one of the best still out there, I still want to give people access to like that more magical experience and contact, where it's like you walk into the forest and you don't know where you're going, but somehow you're guided to finding an abundance of like reishi mushrooms in full maturity with the spores on it, and you take it, and then I like to make special batches of liquid extracts. And then I'll like tincture them, and they'll go through like this whole alchemical process, and I'll bottle it, and there'll only be like 50 bottles, and that'll be it for the whole year.
And it makes it more precious, and I guess it also keeps your connection with nature alive, because like you could be more in the entrepreneur, like you're doing both, but I guess you're maintaining also this connection with nature alive through that time. And So now, I guess we've just passed from like 17 years old to now.
Yeah.
So like, I'm guessing you have had like so many experiences in between that of like, I mean, in your stories we see you all the time in nature doing different things. Where would you say your focus is on now in that connection or in that, because nature, we're looking at your chart, yes, it's the outside world, but your own inner nature is what connects you to nature. So like what is your interest right now? It can be inner nature, outer nature, what?
It seems like for a long time it was very inner nature focused. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if we were talking about present day, I'm very outer nature focused. And I've realized that I have a capacity to share this knowledge in the form of these kinds of products at scale. Mm-hmm. And I realize like there are so many people that are going through such a rough time, so many people that are fighting so many challenges, stress, fatigue, anxiety, depression, all these different things. And so many people don't even have the time to like go into nature. So how, you know, one of my main goals with Alchemy was to like, how can I make something that combines all of my knowledge from understanding flavor profiles and just really my understanding with all these things and what they can do for you, but how to like make it accessible to people, because not everyone's gonna have the time like I did to foster these beautiful relationships with these plants and mushrooms. And so to make this accessible at scale and to have this help people with you know, with all of these time constraints, or, you know, a lot of people love coffee, for example. Yeah. You know, a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people can use these things and they don't have the capacity to take in all the knowledge that these things have to offer. And so I think the main goal for me on the outer nature aspect of this was like, even if they didn't get like the full wild reishi mushroom experience, they're gonna get definitely a good portion of it in their day-to-day. And ultimately, when you really start digging deep into how these things are supposed to be taken anyway, which is small quantities every day for a long period of time. In fact, the Taoist perspective was it's for life. You take it every day for life. So if people can get this every day, and the way I designed it, it's ritualistic. You know, each bag is like monthly, it's 30 days, then over time they're gonna improve their lives and it's gonna help them in different ways. And so if I can try to do that and impact the lives of hundreds and thousands of people, then I think that for me in itself is very rewarding to share that gift of nature with people.
Yeah, like this supplement, like and people that know me know that I'm used to putting all those things in my coffees and my teas, and sometimes it doesn't taste good. Like sometimes you're just like, I know it's like an investment in myself every morning, and then with products like this, it just makes it more like accessible, and it can even improve the flavor in some ways. Like I have spent some times in my life where I would boil my Chaga mushroom and make my coffee with the Chaga mushroom, but it takes time. So like it's good, these products, that they exist so that it can be it's easier to integrate in the routine, because people don't have time to do all these things and, like you say, to research it, unless you're very passionate like I am and like you are about those things, and then you do the work. But this just makes it easier, and like that's why, like, looking at your Instagram and everything, I knew already that it's not just random, like it's not just a product to make a product, like it's something that is lived. You know, it's your life, this product is you and everything you've researched. And that's why, like, now I saw on the website there's like basically one product, and it's that product. Like it's crafted with care, and also like with Rosenbra, like I try to empower through this kind of platform creators that have, you know, you heard a hero's journey. Like you have your own storyline to live out, but it takes courage, and it takes courage to actually take action and not fear being ridiculed for like having your own unique path that no one understands. But in the end, this path for me always leads to like understand yourself better, so that you can become a pillar for society to be able to become better. Like you become useful to society in some ways, and a positive impact. And if everyone followed their own hero's journey, just like if every cell of the body did exactly what it had to do, it would be a perfectly healthy body. And so that's what I found inspiring with your path. Like it's not the traditional path. Like not any people would be like, well, I'm just gonna go in the forest and I'm gonna try to have insights into my own being, and eventually I'm gonna create a product and I'm gonna live from it. But because you did that and you trusted the path, then all the rest happened, right? And now people can benefit from it. So this is for me like a good story of a creation, because you created your own path in this way. So yeah, that's remarkable. And in this same way, like for artists as well, people don't see like how art can influence, like a piece of art, a painting or whatever, can influence things. But if you put everything you've learned in your life and then you encode your paintings with emotion, an uplifting emotion that is unique to you, because every emotion is a frequency and there's a million frequencies, infinite frequencies. Well, somehow it will uplift the right person. And with time, depending on your subject matter, it can change also mentalities, you know? So that's why like being inspired by something that is within to create something without is for me the most magical thing and the most important thing. Whether you're like a creator of a product that is going to help the health of someone, or of an artwork that will help people think of something differently and somehow slowly put a seed in their minds that will bring them towards a better understanding of themselves and how they can be of service too. It's like a ripple effect. But I feel like this is kind of like both worlds, because your story can inspire, but also your product can literally physically like improve. So I don't know, is there other things in this like I don't think I know all of the ingredients in there. That like I know Shilajit, that is a very potent mineral like substance that's in there. That's so cool, because usually it's in like a kind of the form of
like a resin
paste. Like it's so tough to like make something out of it. Now it's in there. You just have to put it. So is there any other like things that for you change a big thing in your health that's in there?
Aside from Reishi Mushroom?
Reishi Mushroom being the main one.
I think it's really the combination and actually the formula itself as well. A lot of it comes down to formulation and just the interaction of all the ingredients in there. And I have experimented individually with each one, and each one has their own qualities and have brought me different results and wonderful experiences. So Reishi would have to definitely be like probably the most impactful experience in my life. But then there are others that are less like impactful in the spiritual kind of like aspects that were like really, I would say, just very tangible in a sense. But then others are more tangible, more so in the physical body. I'd say like astragalus and cordyceps, for example, are both incredible respiratory strengthening tonics. And so as like someone who likes the movement and activity, you take these on a regular basis and you're going to notice that like your respiration and your ability to utilize and metabolize oxygen becomes so much better. And it's just like a boost of energy, right? And so chi energy is manufactured partly by the lungs and your ability to pull in oxygen, and you can create chi with that. And so you tonify the lung meridian with cordyceps and astragalus, and I would notice like the results and the impact in that area of my life. And a lot of people are shallow breathers. A lot of people don't breathe fully out there, you know. And so I think with a breathwork practice, with qigong, with yoga, with people who are doing ice baths, which incentivizes you to like focus on breath work, those are wonderful tonics for that. Shilajit is, of course, amazing. As you said, it's like a mineral pitch. Shilajit in Sanskrit translates as conqueror of mountains and destroyer of weakness. And that's literally what it does for you.
I've had so much experiences with that where like fasting for like, let's say 24 hours, taking just a little bit of Shilajit and doing a workout right after. And you just feel like so, like the stamina, you have so much like, it's like a potent energy, you know?
Very potent energy.
You can just take a little bit and it'll keep you for a long time, like in your empowered self, you know?
Yeah, it increases everything from like endurance, stamina, your overall vitality. It you know, boosts and ramps up your hormones. So it really gets that going too. And I think it's also due to like the 80 plus minerals in there.
Yeah.
A lot of the carbon-based minerals and the fulvic and humic acid, which is very important from Shilajit, which we don't really get too much of anymore in our food and our soil, because humic and fulvic acid is something that is present in nature and is very concentrated in Shilajit. And these are two very important compounds, for example, that will help the body absorb nutrients better, chelate different things better, and just really make everything work better in the body. And one of the reasons why I put Shilajit in that formula is because it also acts as like an overall amplifier for all of the other ingredients to work better.
Interesting. And I thought maybe, like, first of all, I wanted to say also, this is not sponsored, like, because I really think nutrition for me was what helped me get out of the fog so that I could start my spiritual journey and transform myself on different levels. And so that's why I think it's so important, like just this little thing every day can start giving you the nutrients you need so that the baseline of your energy is fulfilled, and then you can move on to the next things, dealing with the emotions, dealing with spirit, dealing with your dharma, your career, and all the rest. But this is the foundation that has helped me personally, so that's why I was enthusiastic to showcase it. And also you're an expert in that, so to get your more in-depth knowledge of it and more direct knowledge too. Maybe to end, is there like a question or something that you wish I had asked you, or something that you want to leave people that are watching this with? May it be some encouragement, or I like to also come back to the state of the world, because there's a lot of suffering, and it seems to me like we are changing eras, and that there is some more changes than we've ever experienced, because they will also be through mentalities. A lot of things have to change for it to be rebalanced in the world, and this brings a lot of resistance for a lot of people, therefore a lot of suffering. And this is also a reason why I created Rose Umbra, is to bring awareness to this and help ease these tensions or this resistance. So if you have an insight on that, or something you wish to share about that too, that would be good.
It is interesting that you bring that up, and I do feel like I do have something to share, and I do feel like life is always going to be challenging. There's always going to be curveballs. There's always going to be things and challenges coming up in your personal life, and we're going to see that at a collective level like we are today. And we have been seeing that really, like, I don't know when there's a time that there wasn't challenges and there wasn't something going on in the world. But I feel like a lot of the times we'll make a lot of excuses, and I'll speak for myself, to not take care of ourselves, to not take certain daily action steps towards helping ourselves so that we can help the world.
Yeah.
You know, because whether it's my relationship that's not working, or the guy cut me off on the road today and then I was upset, and so then I didn't, you know, do my practice, or didn't take my herbs because I was feeling emotional, or, you know, the world is at a bad state, so I'm just gonna, like, you know, give myself a reason not to take care of myself for whatever reason. And that could look like many different things.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is in a bit of relation to my chaotic day today. And as you know, I called you earlier, and there was so many like barriers of entry, and
which is why it is not the blue hour.
And it just seemed like there's so much that we don't have control over.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do have control over is our state of mind, which is largely impacted by our health practices. But I feel like throughout today, there was just so many moments, or there was just nothing I can do.
Yeah.
There was nothing that I can actually physically do that was going to either make traffic move faster, that was going to tell this person how to drive better, that was going to tell the line at the U-Haul rental center to move faster. It was like, there was nothing that I can do but just to kind of come back to center, and to be able to have like that rebound and just be like, you know what, it's okay. And what I do have control over are my thoughts in this moment, and how my state of being immediately impacts my immediate environment. And if we're all just focusing on how we impact our immediate environment, I feel like there's a ripple effect. And we're all connected in somehow, in some way.
And perhaps like even this, we're supposed to meet earlier and like do this this afternoon. And for me, it was also this kind of like, okay, what do I do now? How do I react to this? And somehow I had the same kind of insight as you, as to like, okay, like, what am I gonna do with this situation? Like, am I gonna take advantage of it to think about what I'm feeling right now, and why I'm feeling this way, and how I can alchemize this? So what I did, I meditated, I did breathwork, and I was like, it's not blue hour, but it's gonna work anyways, and it's gonna be meaningful. And perhaps just to end this podcast with this, maybe that's why this happened, you know, to bring people to the conclusion that them too can do the same thing when things that are not planned happen, or delays and stuff like that, because there will be a lot of delays in the future. Like, everything is to be reinvented and changed. So doing it on the micro like level, in our day-to-day, in the traffic, that's all we can do most of the time. But it changes everything, right?
It does.
Because then you can just flow with it instead of resist it, and it makes it more pleasant. And then you can still have a nice time and enjoy a podcast.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for participating in this and my project, and in this new podcast that I'm launching soon, and for sharing your wisdom, but also for trusting your path all these years to create even like finally this product that will, I'm sure, serve a lot of people and help uplift their mornings and their days so that they can focus on what's important. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me. It's been a wonderful pleasure and honor. And thank you so much for the reading as well.
Oh yeah, I really love doing that. It's part of my own path, is like to help people, bird's eye view of what's going on. So it's a pleasure. So thanks everyone at home, and see you on the next episode.